Today we're going to talk about something a lot of people feel, but maybe don't have the words for. We're diving into the psychology of what it means to grow up way too fast.
You knew that moment someone asks you a totally innocent question like, what was your childhood like? And you just freeze. It's not because it was awful, not necessarily. It's just the answer feels complicated, like something's missing.
Yeah, that feeling. That's what we're getting into. It's like your life story has a few chapters just ripped out, right between being a kid and suddenly being the adult in the room. It's this quiet gap where you jumped the line into adulthood.
So where does this all start? Well, it's not just a personality trait or you being an old soul. It actually goes much deeper. Psychologically, it's a survival adaptation that kicks in when you're really young. There's actually a clinical term for this. It's called parentification. Basically, it's when a kid has to take on adult roles and responsibilities. But that sounds so clinical, right? It doesn't really capture the feeling of it, that feeling of being a little kid trying to hold up the entire world. And this is a really important point. We often look at a kid like that and say, wow, so mature for their age. But the research tells us something different. It's not really maturity. It's a survival adaptation, a coping mechanism.
And this isn't just in your head. It has a huge physical impact. Your entire nervous system basically gets rewired. That fight or flight or crisis mode, that stops being for emergencies. It becomes your default setting. You learn from a very young age that being calm isn't safe. Being hyper-aware and on guard is what keeps things stable.
The thing is, you get really, really good at some things because of this. They're almost like childhood superpowers. You can read a room in a split second. You anticipate what someone needs before they even say it. You're a natural problem solver. But these weren't just talents. They were survival tools. They were how you kept things from falling apart.
But all those superpowers, they come with a pretty hefty price tag. And a lot of the time, you don't even realize you're paying it until you're an adult. So let's talk about what that looks like.
Okay, so this is the real disconnect, right? On the outside, people see you as the super reliable one, the one who's got it all together. But on the inside, you're just exhausted. They see you as fiercely independent, but you feel completely alone. They call you low maintenance, but really, you're just constantly on guard. And yeah, you're productive, but there's this little voice inside that's always saying, it's not enough.
And of course, this spills over into your relationships. And here's the really weird part. You spent your whole childhood craving safety and stability, right? So why is it that when you finally get a consistent, loving relationship as an adult, it feels so uncomfortable, maybe even boring or wrong?
Well, it's because your nervous system learned a different definition of home. For you, home might have felt like a place where you were always giving and never really getting much back. So chaos and unavailability, that feels familiar. It feels normal. When someone comes along and offers genuine, steady love, it feels off. It's an unknown language. And that price tag shows up in all sorts of other ways. Like, maybe you find yourself drawn to people who need fixing, because that's the only way you know how to feel loved, by being useful. Or you have this intense need to control everything around you, because chaos used to mean danger. And then there's that exhaustion, that bone-deep tiredness that no amount of sleep can ever seem to fix.
And here's the really cruel twist in all of this. Society loves these traits. You get praised for being so resilient, so independent, so productive. You're a doer. But what nobody ever seems to ask is, what did it cost you to get that way? What did you have to sacrifice?
Okay, so understanding all this is huge, but it can also feel kind of heavy, right? The good news is you can heal. So how do you even begin to unwind something that's so core to who you think you are? Let's talk about the way forward. It all starts with this one massive mindset shift. I love this quote. You are not a human doing. You're a human being. For so long, your worth has been tied to what you do. The real work is learning that your value has absolutely nothing to do with your usefulness. Just being is enough. So, what does that look like in practice? It kind of boils down to three big things. First, you have to let yourself grieve the childhood you didn't get to have. Just acknowledge the loss. Second, you have to consciously, actively separate your worth from what you produce. And third, and man, this one is tough, you have to let yourself be a total beginner at being cared for. It's a skill you never got to learn.
So I want you to hear this. This is your official permission slip.
It is okay to fall apart sometimes. You've been holding it together for everyone else for long enough, and it is absolutely okay to receive something good without feeling like you had to earn it first.
All right, as we start to wrap this up, I want to leave you with one last thought. This is a message for that part of you, that little kid inside that's been on duty for way, way too long. That child who grew up too fast. They did an absolutely incredible job. They were smart and brave, and they did everything they had to do to survive. And you can tell them they can rest now. The adults got it from here.
You've been holding on for so long. So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. What would it feel like to finally let go?